And our top focus continues to remain on the Ukrainian drone strike on Russia. Ukraine has launched a massive drone attack on Russian aircraft. The massive operation, codenamed Spiderweb, was in the works for over a year and a half and was greenlit by none other than Ukrainian President Zelensky himself. According to officials, this is the most damaging Ukrainian drone attack of the entire war and is a significant setback for Moscow. The strikes have come on the eve of a fresh round of peace talks in Istanbul today. Russian media is calling it Russia's Pearl Harbor. Ukrainian drones hit more than 40 Russian aircraft, including Tu-95 and Tu-22 strategic bombers, which Russia uses to fire long-range missiles at Ukraine. The strikes also caused a huge blast in Severomorsk, one of the key cities for the Russian Navy, where nuclear-armed submarines are maintained. The strikes, up to 4,300 kilometers deep inside Russia, simultaneously hit 4 Russian military air bases and the naval base in Severomorsk. Now, Russia's defense ministry has called it a terrorist attack across 5 regions and also claimed that all attacks were repelled.
Загалом в операції було використано 117 дронів і відповідна кількість операторів дронів працювали. Вражено 34% стратегічних носіїв крилатих ракет на аеродромах базування. Діяли наші люди на території різних російських регіонів в 3 часових поясах. І наших людей напередодні операції з території Росії вивели. Зараз вони в безпеці. Готували операцію більш ніж 1,5 роки. Планування, організація, всі деталі були ідеально підготовлені. Можна сказати впевнено, що це абсолютно унікальна операція. Найцікавіше, і вже зараз це можна говорити публічно, офіс нашої операції на території Росії знаходився безпосередньо поруч з управлінням ФСБ Росії в одній з їхніх областей.
And we're now being joined by senior Russian journalist Ksenia Kondratieva on the broadcast. Ksenia, could you tell us about the losses that have been incurred by Russia in this biggest drone attack from Ukraine?
Hi, thanks for having me, first of all. So what we know, I've seen your report, and I also seen the visuals that you are showing. Some of those visuals were proven to be fake from the people of the cities that those visuals alleged to show. Now, what Russia has stated, Russian MOD has stated yesterday that the airfields were attacked in 5 regions. That is Murmansk, Irkutsk, Ivanovo, Ryazan, and Amur regions. And a very particular statement it made that while in 3 regions the attacks were repelled, in 2 other places, there was a partial damage. I would quote, said, several pieces of aviation equipment caught fire. Now, so Russian side obviously does not confirm the claim, of 40 warplanes being hit. It doesn't go into details of which particular warplanes were destroyed by those drone attacks. So there is a little information we have from the Russian side, and obviously considering the fog of war, we would treat Kyiv's claims very carefully. And as I said, even the videos coming from that side have to be treated very carefully.
All right, Ksenia, do stay with us. Let us tell our viewers more about the Operation Spiderweb by Ukraine. Now, the drones that were used in this operation were low-cost, radio-controlled FPV drones. The targets that were hit were Tu-95 nuke-capable bomber, Tu-22 M3's long-range bomber, A-50 early warning aircraft, and there were damages of over $2 billion in this Operation Spiderweb, which is being seen as the biggest drone attack from Ukraine on Russia. And this information is what the Ukrainian agencies are claiming. Ksenia continues to stay with us with more on this. Ksenia, could this drone attack be a turning point in the Ukraine-Russia war?
Oh, well, it's a good question. The attack is launched a day before Russia and Ukraine are set to sit in Istanbul for the second round of talks. The first round took last month, and these are, I would remind your audience, these are the first talks held since March, April 2022, when the two sides directly negotiated just uh, 2, 3 months into the war. They tried to directly negotiate a ceasefire and a possible peace, but those talks were, Ukraine basically walked off on the advice of their Western supporters, particularly UK. They walked off from those talks. Now, this attack is launched just a day before the important talks set to take place today, basically at 1 p.m. local time. It's Moscow time and Istanbul time in Turkey. What is important also, and I think most of the West international media, I would say, completely ignore that fact that yesterday, I'm sorry, Ukraine didn't only launch the drone attack on the military targets, which in the condition of war, of course, are legitimate targets, but it launched attack against civilians, a terror attack against civilians. It blew up 2 bridges. When I claim Ukraine blew up those bridges, of course, this is preliminary investigation is going on. But yesterday morning, 2 bridges were blown up. Those bridges were over the railways. In one case, there were not only one person was injured, but in another case, over 70 people were injured and 7 people died, including small children. A 5-month-old baby is battling for his life right now in the hospital after this attack. So these kind of attacks against the civilians, against civilian targets, is not something Russia has ever tolerated and will tolerate. So obviously these kind of attacks, and I'm even surprised those are not spoken about, they definitely change the course of these negotiations. We have to see what happens today in Istanbul, if at all the talks will happen. But the Russian side said that its delegation has reached Istanbul yesterday. We had those visuals. That it is carrying a proposal which it didn't make public. Unlike Ukraine did, we've seen Reuters citing the document that Ukraine is going to bring on the table. And that document didn't change much from what was discussed in April with the US side. And we know that both the US and European allies of Ukraine have rejected some of those proposals, like particularly the security guarantees, which are not only diplomatic, but first of all, military guarantees. And this is, of course, something that Russia is also opposing to. So we have to see whether these negotiations will go any way forward, given this very important escalation that happened yesterday.